Anyway, hey guys, it's me, Lily. There's no Alex today. I decided, also sorry if you can hear my neighbors upstairs. They have a dog. Anyway, I decided that I wanted to film an episode of just me because, as we all know, I like talking and I like talking about myself. And I figured I could just go through some of my favorite movies. Maybe just go through my Letterboxd, like top 4, and talk for a million years about all of them. I say that now, and I'm gonna talk for like 2 seconds and be like, what else? Yeah, I apologize also if I sound like a little boy. I have a cold, so. But I don't know when or if this will ever go out. I also don't know if I should address this now or later, if we'll ever even use this setup, but I like this setup better because this half of my living room is more interesting than the other side. But the only problem is I don't have multiple desk chairs. Maybe we'll use dining room chairs, but they're really tall. Anyway, that's besides the point. I figured today we would go over my top 4 on Letterboxd and then some, depending on what time it is. I hope this is all recording. Okay, let me go to my Letterboxd. Okay, I mean, I don't really know why I needed to go on for the first one because I know actually I'll go from 4 to number 1. So these are subject to change. This might all change by the time this even comes out if I do upload this. I'm not sure. But as of right now, these are my top 4. And I'll start with I'll go with my 5th one currently because it's one that I'm debating adding to it. But my problem is I don't know what movie to take out. And that's going to be Saltburn. I know we've talked about it, I think in both of the episodes we filmed so far. But I did see it 3 times in theaters. And I'm not really sure why I feel like I haven't done, actually that's a lie. I have done like deep dives with this movie. I'm not really sure specifically what hooks me because, okay, so I really liked Talented Mr. Ripley when I saw it. And going into this movie, that was the only thing I knew about it, was that it's Talented Mr. Ripley-esque. I had seen one trailer and heard that, and I was like, okay, I want to go see it. And I like Barry Keoghan. I had seen him in, obviously, like, Eternals, and what else had I'm, like, blanking on I guess Dunkirk. There's another film, and I'm going to kick myself for not remembering what it is, but I haven't seen Killing of a Sacred Deer yet, but that's beside the point. I liked Barry Keoghan, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go see it for him. Crazy, I know. I was not a Jacob Elordi fan prior to this movie. Like, I saw the appeal. I saw that he was a very good-looking man, but something was not, like, clicking for me. I'm a changed woman. And now I believe I still only really like him in this movie. I have yet to see Priscilla. It's been on my list. Obviously, I'm not spending $1 million to watch it, but it's been on my list. But yeah, I'm like, I still pretty much, I think maybe it's the hair or like the personality or something, but I love him in this. I obviously think he's like, I mean, it's just like, the only thing I really knew him before was like Euphoria. So I guess I really didn't have like a good baseline. I don't know. But I am excited to see The Sweet East, which I know he's in. I don't think he plays a very big part in it. That was at Cannes, but I didn't get to see it. I mean, I went to Cannes. Sorry. I feel like in every episode I'll somehow mention it. I'm not trying to brag, but like I am. But he wasn't there at the festival, so that was a bit of a bummer. But anyway, back on track. Saltburn, all I knew was that it was like kind of Talented Mr. Ripley-esque. And so going into it, that's what I tell people too, is go into it not knowing anything. Granted, it's like different now because now that it's out on a platform, people have like been able to use clips of it on TikTok, and like people have been able to see clips without actually seeing the movie. So it's a bit different now. But before, it was like I would tell people like go see it and go into it blind, because I think that was one of the biggest things for me personally, was not knowing what was going to happen. And granted, some things are predictable, but I was not expecting most of what happened to happen. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I really want to talk about it too much, because again, I know it's new enough, and I still want people that haven't seen it to go watch it with an open mind and without knowing anything about it. But I just think that looks wise, it was beautifully shot. I think the cinematography was incredible. I like the format of it. The second time I saw it, I went and saw it with my friend Diana and Val, and the aspect ratio was off, I like the aspect ratio, the format, or like the shaping or whatever was off in the theater. And it was the second time I had seen it, the first time being the day before with my sister. And it was off, and I was like, guys, like it was off enough to where like there's a part where like he gets served like eggs at Saltburn, and you could like see the eggs on the plate, and you couldn't in the theater we were seeing. And there was another part where like, it was like a class of 2006 banner. I had sworn I had seen it before when I watched it the first time, and it like wasn't there. And I was like, So then it kind of kept going, and I was like, yeah, this is off. And I could tell it was like cut off on the bottom. And so I took one for the team, and I ran out, and I like told the theater people, I was like, hey, like I'm at the screening for Saltburn, and I saw it the other day, and the the format, I don't know, I guess is the word I'm looking for, is off. And they were like, oh yeah, it's got like a funky aspect ratio. And I was like, no, I know that. I'm saying the format is off. I saw it the other day, and there are things that are cut off on the top or on the bottom. At that point, I don't know if I realized that the top was too, but I was like, there's things that are cut off at the bottom that you can't see. And he was like, oh, let me go check. And so they like followed me back to the theater, and they readjusted it. But then as the movie went on, I was like, it's still off. Like there's a part in the end where you like fully like, let's say he's laying on the ground. You can only see, like Barry, you can only see like his body. You couldn't see what he was laying on. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like I knew obviously what it was, but I was like having to tell like Diana and Val, I was like, this is what's actually happening. Like I felt like they're like, I mean, it was just like they're viewing. It changes a lot of the movie, honestly. Like, cause you don't know what he's laying on. You don't know like, it's just like, there's subtle things, but like if those things weren't supposed to be in the movie, they wouldn't have been there. But because they were there, the changing of the aspect ratio like changes everything. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about without like spoiling too much of the movie. I just think that I was like, I almost like, because I saw it like almost 3 days in a row. It was like Sunday, Monday, and then like Wednesday or something like that. Or like Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, something like that. And the third time we saw it at Cine, and like they had done the aspect ratio right, and like the format and stuff, which I knew they would because it's Cine. But I was like bummed for, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I think the writing was incredible. I started reading the screenplay and like annotating it, which is crazy if you know me, because I don't really read, but I'm trying to. But I was like reading and annotating the screenplay, like, oh my gosh, this happened in the movie, or like this was different, or this was changed. And I didn't end up finishing it because I think I got sidetracked with something else. But I was like, for a while, I was like debating. I was like, is it too soon to move it into my top 4, like on Letter? I know it's like, that's how I base my top movies is genuinely is Letterboxd. Like I bought Pro because of my friend Diana, and I'm obsessed. Like I go on that app at least once a day, and I go on the desktop version at least once a day when I'm in class, and I just love it, and I'm hooked. And so I'm like, I don't know whether there's a movie that I can take out of my top 4. Probably is, but I don't know. I think I have to watch it one more time, not in theaters, because I haven't watched it yet since it's been out on whatever it's on Prime. Yeah. This lighting, is that what it is? I think my LED is like messing with it. I don't know. I found this background, but I can tell it through the screen that there's like a bar going up and down. I just didn't want to have a blank TV behind me, but there's a bar going up and down, and that's not there. It's like more like, it's like an aura. Also, I hope there's no ads on this video because yeah. So it's a 10-hour long YouTube video. I'm hoping without ads because I'm not paying for YouTube Premium and I don't want to cut out every time there's an ad. Anyway, yeah, that's all I think I have to say about Saltburn. I'm sure I'll talk about it in upcoming episodes depending on like who we have on, but yeah. Okay, going into my number 4 movie. This one was added not too long ago after a rewatch. And I was like, actually, this movie's incredible. And it's going to be The Nice Guys. This is a movie starring Ryan Gosling, obviously, and Russell Crowe. And it's a buddy cop movie set in the 70s, 60s. I should probably know that. But they like start off hating each other and then they have to like work together. And I think it is incredible. It is, okay, here, look, I'll read the like, I guess the synopsis on Letterboxd. A private eye investigates the apparent suicide of a fading porn star in 1970s Los Angeles and uncovers a conspiracy. I just think that, oh, and the girl who plays Katie Heron in the new Mean Girls is Ryan Gosling's daughter in it. And Matt Bomer's in it, and Margaret Qualley. You know what I'm talking about. I just think that it is so funny that the dynamic between the two of them is incredible. I think that watching interviews from the time that the movie came out of the two of them really sold the movie for me because the way that they interact with each other is just so funny. And I am a firm believer that Ryan should do more comedies. Look, he is a very incredible dramatic actor. Like, I mean, obviously I'm obsessed with this man. He is a very good dramatic actor, don't get me wrong. And I love some of his, I've seen most of his movies because I've made it a point to watch most of his movies. And I think that obviously his dramatic roles are good, but I think that he is so funny and that he needs to be in more comedies because he's just a funny person. And I think that, and not that he's not in comedies because he's in that. He's in, I guess Barbie would be considered a comedy. I'm trying to think of what else would be considered a comedy. I feel like La La Land's less it's not rom-com. It's just more like I don't know, but there's comedic aspects in there too. So it's like, I think he shines in the comedic part, and I am a firm believer that he needs to do more comedy movies. I'm excited for The Fall Guy. I don't think it's fully comedy, but I definitely think there's comedy in there. I just think the movie itself is a very original take on, at least from what I've seen. This could be completely wrong, and there could be like a million of movies just like it. But what I've seen, I think it's a very original take on like a buddy cop comedy. And I think it is very underrated and more people need to see it. I was just looking on Letterboxd. I clicked on it and like, where is it? I have like several people that I know that have watched it already. But then there's like a lot of my friends on Letterboxd that have it in their watch list. And I'm like, please watch it. It is incredible. Yeah, I just think that the dynamic between the two of them, having Ryan being like a drunk, but like also being really good at being a detective and accidentally uncovering things, and Russell being the more like put together one, really works for them. And I think that it is really funny. And I'm trying to see if I have any, let me see if I have made reviews for it because I could read those, but I don't know if I have made any reviews. It's not looking like I've reviewed it at all. Interesting. I don't know. I don't know if I have really any other thoughts to add on this because I just think you need to watch it. That's my takeaway from this one movie is you need to watch this movie and then get back to me. Okay? Thanks. All right, so my number 3 movie on my list is actually, it's a Wes Anderson movie. As many of you may know, Wes Anderson is my favorite director. I feel like it's quite basic to say that as a film-ish student. But I just, again, it comes down, I think, to comedy for me. And I think his style of like deadpan, slapstick, like comedy is just so unique. And I feel like we don't see it very often. And I think that it makes him very original, and obviously movies are very visually pleasing as well. I hope it's just my eyes and not the actual camera. Please tell me it's crooked. If it's crooked, ignore it. Like, you'll have to deal with that. Anyway, I'm a one-woman show today. So, I don't think it's crooked. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it is. It's a little gamble play. Anyway, yeah, so the movie that I have, I kind of rotate out a different Wes movie so I can have one in my top 4 at all times. But this one has been my top 4 in my top 4 for a while. And I think I need to rewatch it again because I'm like, is it the best of all of them? But I don't know. I think it is. So the movie that I've chosen is The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. Zissou. I can't remember how to pronounce it, but whatever. I just think out of all his films, it is... No, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say it's the most unique, but I feel like that's like the stupidest thing I've ever said in my life. I just think that it is very funny and very pretty, and I love the cast, and that goes for pretty much any of his movies. But I think just something about this, and I think I really like Bill Murray's take on this character, and I think that the dynamic... Okay, I love Owen Wilson as well. So putting him in a more lead spot in the movie, unlike some of his other roles. I know, I mean, obviously Bottle Rocket, but some of his other roles in the movies, of Wes's movies, have been like more side characters, which I'm sure is just because like he's busy and like he's only doing it because like they're friends or whatever, because they met in college. But I think I really like it because I like having Bill Murray in a leading role. And like the way he's taken this character, and like I know he's been in leading roles in Wes's stuff before, but I feel like having him, obviously his character's name is the title of the movie. I think having him and the dynamic between him and Owen Wilson, whom I love as well. I think that having Owen also in a leading role, because other than like Bottle Rocket and I'm trying to think of, I'm like obviously blank. I guess he's like a lead in other stuff too, but I think that this role is so good for the two of them, and the dynamic between the two of them together is awesome. And I don't really know. For those of you who haven't seen the movie, I'll read you the synopsis on Letterboxd. Renowned oceanographer Steve Zissou has sworn vengeance upon the rare shark that devoured a member of his crew. In addition to his regular team, he is joined on his boat by Ned, a man who believes Zissou to be his father, and Jane, a journalist pregnant by a married man. They travel the sea, all too often running into pirates and, perhaps more traumatically, various figures of Zissou's past, including his estranged wife, Eleanor. So, again, I just think that it's such a unique plot for a movie and visually stunning. I'll put a picture, obviously. I'll put pictures as I'm talking. Maybe. But I just think that the movie itself, like, again, in the synopsis, it says, like, they're avenging his friend because he was devoured by a shark. Like, they make everything in the movie that's dramatic somehow feel less like gut-wrenching and more like, oh, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, like sentimental, like heartfelt. I think that, and it's funny too, like they make these like, oh yeah, our crewmate just like got eaten by a shark and now we're gonna go avenge his life. Like, they make it sound funny. And not saying that they take away from the dramatic moments, but it's more like easy to digest, I guess. And obviously this isn't something that's going to happen to people like on the regular, but even with like, I'm trying to think with oh my god, why can't I think, not Grand Budapest, Royal Tenenbaums. Even in Royal Tenenbaums, they make some of these more traumatic events easier to digest, but like still, like they don't make them any less important, you know, like they are still showing this trauma and this like tragedy, but like it's a more, I'm not to say digestible again, but it's easier to watch and but still relate to.
Okay, this might look and sound really stupid, but I'm editing this right now, and this part specifically, I I literally wrote like a whole essay about this and did a whole video essay about this. Well, about Wes specifically, because that's how annoying I am. But I don't know why I couldn't think of any of this to talk about while I was talking about it or about him in this sense where I'm like talking about how it's like digestible or whatever. There's a way that he makes his movies like a storybook, and I could like get into this and I could probably do an entire episode just of him, but where specifically he makes it almost like the kids in the movies act like adults and the adults act like kids or like behave that way. And I think that that's what makes it so special and so different, like tonally. Having these adults acting like kids makes it more, for lack of a better word, digestible because we're watching the kids and like there's a sense of childlike wonder around them still and a sense of the world still not like fully attacking them or like they kind of still have a lot more to learn and the world hasn't knocked them down yet, and he plays his adult characters in that way, I feel like. So it makes the stories less traumatic and harsh because we're seeing them through the lens of adults being like kids, if that makes sense. Again, I'll probably do like an entire video dedicated to Wes and his storytelling, but I just wanted to input that because watching this back, I'm like frustrated that I couldn't verbalize this.
I don't know. So that's the current Wes pick that's going to be at the top. Sometimes it's Fantastic Mr. Fox, but we've obviously talked about that in other episodes. But I just love Fantastic Mr. Fox because, again, it's funny, but it's also just like comforting. Like the music itself is just like, I mean, I listen to it when I'm studying sometimes, or just when I'm like having a chill like morning. I think that I don't know, I really like it, and sometimes it rotates out between that. I'm due for another. I'm currently doing my Marvel binge, as we've said. I'm in a little bit of a pause, but I don't know. Oh, the last one I watched was Doctor Strange. I'm just in a bit of a movie pause because I've been busy, but I'm going tonight. I don't know when this comes out, but I've already said that a million times. I'm going to see American Fiction tonight because I haven't seen it. And I'm trying to see all of the movies nominated for Best Picture. I've seen 60% so far, which means I've seen 6 out of 10. After tonight, it'll be 7 out of 10. I need to see, oh, I'm going to drop my phone. I need to see Anatomy of, or That's a Lie. I saw that in Cannes. I need to see Killers of the Flower Moon. I know. It's just really long. And I don't really know if I can last that long. But I'll watch it before the Oscars. I need to see Past Lives, which I don't know if it's on anything yet. That's why I don't think I've watched it yet. And then after American Fiction, after those two also, I'll only need to see Zone of Interest, which again was also a Cannes question mark, I think. Well, I mean, I know Killers was, but Killers was only shown one screening, and there was no way we were getting into that screening unless you had a ticket or you waited several hours, like I did for Asteroid City, obviously. But we'll talk about Cannes more when I have someone on who went to the festival with me. That'll be so much fun. And then I'll maybe boot Alex off again because he'll have nothing to talk about in that sense. Anyway, yeah. So I think that's all I wanted to say about that. Oh yeah, I kind of cut myself off. I do that often. But yeah, like I was saying, I think it's time for me to do another Wes binge after I finish my Marvel binge. Because I'm still also trying to watch movies that I haven't seen before. So that falls in between these binges. Yeah. Okay. Number 2. My number 2 movie is Little Women, 2019. I almost said 17. What? I thought it was 2017. Anyway, Little Women, Greta Gerwig. Obviously, I love Greta Gerwig. One of these episodes, I was wearing my Greta Gerwig shirt. I won't even get into this whole snub thing right now because that makes me so angry. Anyway, I just love this movie. Again, it's another comfort movie. If you haven't seen Little Women, I don't know what you're doing, but it's also not the original. So I feel like if you don't know what the story of Little Women is by now. But anyway, it's 4 sisters, at least from Letterboxd's eyes. It's 4 sisters come of age in America in the aftermath of the Civil War. And basically there's Saoirse Ronan plays Jo March. Florence Pugh plays Amy March. Emma Watson plays Meg March. And Eliza Scanlon, I don't really know her, plays Beth March. She's also in Devil All the Time. That's the only thing I think I've seen her in. She's in Old, but I didn't watch that. She's in Sharp Objects. I also did not watch that. Anyway. No, she directed things. Is that thing okay? I don't know. No, good for her. Anyway, it's the 4 of them. And then we also have Laura Dern as the mother. Timothy Chalamet. I don't really know why I said it like that. Because I like him, but not like intensely anymore. He plays Laurie, which is like their neighbor boy. Meryl Streep plays the aunt. Bob Odenkirk plays the father. And there are just several more people in here. But I digress. Again, like I said, it's a comfort movie. I watched it again on the plane several months ago. Ew, that was like almost a year. Not really. Okay, that's a lie. It was like 6 months ago. And I think I added it back to my list. I don't remember what it switched out. I think actually it switched out Call Me By Your Name. Because Call Me By Your Name was on there for a while. But I think it switched it out. Timothy for Timothy. I'm sorry if that was ASMR. I'm sorry if this whole thing is ASMR. Yeah, but I think that it's just comforting and reassuring, and it's just like almost as like really, I know it's like obviously girls in like the Civil War time. Forgive me for not knowing the years. I apologize. But it's still somehow relatable to today. And I have 2 sisters, not 3, but I have 2 sisters. And it very much shows the dynamic of growing up with sisters and doing plays with them and arguing with them and fighting with them over, I don't know if we ever had the fighting over guys thing because I feel like we're enough apart in age. 2 years? Actually, I don't know how old how their ages range in the movie. But again, I think that it also just encapsulates like what it's like to be a woman, and just like growing up, because obviously it's a different time, but like scarily there are a lot of similarities, and a lot of it has been like not dumbed down, but like I guess subdued a little bit with like the whole having to marry or becoming an old maid. I feel like there is still like a stigma around that, and like if you don't get married, you'll like, something like stupid like that. But I don't know. I think that the movie is just it is heartbreaking, because like you watch it and you're sad for these characters who are having to deal with the forces of the outside world, but it's also relatable and joyful in some parts. And there are just some scenes that like the scene, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's like I'm allowed to like talk about it now. Like if you haven't seen it by now or don't know the story, like come on. But there's one scene where Laurie is confessing his love to Joe, and she's like, I don't want a relationship. Like, I just want to be friends with you. Like, I told you I don't want to get married. Like, you don't love me. You just want to be with, like, and it's just like, it gives me chills because 1, it's beautiful. 2, their acting is incredible. And 3, just like listening to the two of them pour their heart out to each other and like the lines that they're speaking. It's just like you want to put yourself in their shoes, because something like that's never going to happen to me, where we're on the top of a beautiful cliff and someone's pouring their heart out to me. Like 99% sure that's not going to happen to me. So I'm like putting my hopeless romantic self, putting myself in their shoes and being like, oh my God, like, I don't really know where I was going with that, but I just think that the movie, I don't know. I feel like I should have written notes for this. I don't really have like a reason why it's in there. Let me see if I have any reviews on Letterboxd. Probably not. Actually, that's a lie. I make a lot of reviews. I love this movie so much. Yep, that's all I have. Is I love this movie so much. So that's really helpful, Lily. Whatever. Yeah. I just think that the dynamic between the sisters is good. The story itself is really good. Obviously, it's based off the book. Oh, that was my shoe. I was like, what was that noise? Yeah. I think it's really good. And I really think that everyone should watch. This whole video is just me being like, watch these movies because they're really good. And I don't think you like them as much as I do. Like, I don't feel like people connect to the story in the way that I do. And I think that's perfect. I think that's what I like about movies is everyone has their own experiences. So everyone likes different movies. Everyone hates different movies. And everyone puts themselves into movies in different ways, or even not at all. Like, you don't have to be able to put yourself into a movie, I feel like, to fully, like, enjoy something. Something can be purely entertaining because it is so far from you, I don't know. And I feel like there's different aspects to all these movies that, like, I do see myself in, but also, like, The Life Aquatic, like, I don't really relate to Steve in any way, I don't think. Again, I need to rewatch the movie and reevaluate, and I'll come back to you guys. But yeah, I don't really, there's nothing that's like, I think maybe and like, there's probably some things like subconsciously that I'm like, no, like you are very much that, but I digress again. Anyway, okay. So, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but this is my last film, my number 1, and I don't know if it'll ever be dethroned. If you know me, you know. My favorite movie of all time is La La Land. Yes, I know. Ryan again. Yeah, Ryan makes the top 4 twice on this list. I don't think there are any other actor overlaps. I don't think so. But yeah, I love this movie. And on my Letterboxd, it says, I feel like it says I've only seen it like 5 times, which I just know is not true. Because looking at my like ticket stubs alone tells me I've seen it more than that. Yeah, like it's got to be at least like 8 times, I feel like. Which I feel like still is low. But anyway, I first saw this movie when my mom, or one of our neighbors, she worked for, I don't know if she's still like ESPN or something like that. And I think this like could be so wrong, and like I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I think she's like a part of the academy technically. And so she had like a DVD access of the movie. I want to say before it came out into theaters. I could be wrong. I don't really remember the timeline of it specifically. It was either still in theaters. I mean, it was either still in theaters or hadn't been in theaters yet when I watched it. But I watched it at home, like on my computer or something. And I was obsessed. Because I saw it on my computer, and then I saw it twice in theaters, at least. Yeah, after that. So, anyway, so I'm missing at least 2 from that list. Anyway, I just love it. I think that a lot of people are shocked when I say that because of the ending, and we'll get into that, but I think that, one, I love musicals. It may not have come across that way yet for my list, but I think that the music from this movie is so special. With Passing of Paul, I think they did music. I could be wrong. I know they did Greatest Showman, and I think they did La La Land too, and that's why I think I like it a lot. But I think that I've seen, Damien Chazelle, I want to put him on my top 4, or on my, I think I want to put him in my top 5 directors. But he only has 4 films out, and I've only seen 3 out of the 4. I haven't seen First Man. And I know that sounds crazy because obviously I was trying to see every one of Ryan's films. I just don't think I was ever able to find it anywhere, so I haven't watched it yet. I will. But I really liked Babylon also, contrary to what a lot of people said about the movie. I think it just came out at a bad time. I think it was a summer movie, not a winter movie, or not like a Christmas movie. Anyway. Yeah, I think that, I also back to Babylon. I really like Singing in the Rain, and I know there's like the parallels there, and like it's kind of like based on that essentially, but anyway, that's why I like that so much. But I just think the music is incredible. Visually, it's so pretty, obviously, because it's the blues and the purples, and I think even the reds, I would say, but mostly like blue and purple, and that's what, like, I love those colors. Obviously, like, I don't know, like the couch from our other episodes. Whatever. And I think the story is just incredible. Like, I think this, and this goes with the ending of the movie as well. I think that I like it so much because it's so realistic. And like, that sounds silly to say because obviously it's a movie, but I think with like, again, like I said earlier, I'm not considering this a rom-com, but I think that in so many like romance movies, the guy gets the girl, and also this is gonna be like major spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen La La Land, I guess stop watching. But like, go watch it because, again, like I said, it's my favorite and it's so good. I think that I like now you guys have got me like losing my train of thought. I like it because, again, it's realistic, and like I think with a lot of romance movies, the guy gets the girl in the end, or like the girl gets the guy in the end, or whatever. They get their dream jobs, they live their dream life together, and like it's perfect. But I think this movie is a perfect example of like right person, wrong time. But then even at that, like I feel like it was the right time for them to meet each other, because I think that they were perfect for each other in their time, in their lives at that time. Because, like, obviously we have Sebastian, played by Ryan Gosling. He is trying to pursue his dream of jazz, and it's a dying music, or a dying genre, I guess. And no one else believes it. Like, he could do anything with it except for her. She wants him to do what he wants to do because she's also pursuing her dream of acting. And it's like two young people in Hollywood trying to, like, navigate Hollywood together, like, without any former, like, background or, like, any help from anyone, really. Granted, Ryan has his friend, I forget his name, but John Legend's character, who, like, he knew from before and helps him later, but it's not like these people are, like, working from the ground up, and they're trying to pursue their dreams, and they're living not in luxury, obviously. I mean, they're not poor, but, like, so it's not fully realistic because they have, like, relatively nice apartments and places and stuff. But anyway, like, I just think that the way that they help each other out and the realities of, like, following your dreams, but also, like, wanting to keep a relationship and trying to keep time for both of them, it's just, like, what makes the movie so special. And, like, I think that obviously their performances are so good and the story itself is just really good. Granted, sure, I would love if they ended up together in the end, but I think it's beautiful that they don't, because they were in each other's lives when they needed each other, and they were perfect for each other when they weren't successful. But as soon as they got successful, obviously if they were both, like, actors or something, it would probably be easier for them to stay together. But the fact that they both were pursuing different careers and knew that they wouldn't have time for each other, I just, like, it's, like, obviously, like, it's a heartbreaking movie, but it's another reason why I love it. Like, I think it's just beautiful. And in the end, when they, like, see each other and they're like you just know that they still have love for each other, and watching what could have been in their life, like, I think it's like, I think the one thing that's, like, bittersweet about it is seeing what could have happened and seeing how, like, I mean, again, it's not necessarily realistic, but seeing how they could have been successful together is gut-wrenching, because you're like, oh, they could do it. They could do it, and they could both pursue their dreams and be together. But it's often not the reality that you, like, always see that, like, right away. It's, like, later in life, you're like, oh, the one that got away kind of thing, I guess. I'm saying this like I have any experience with this. I don't. But, like, I just think that the movie is so, I'm going to say it again, it's so good. I think the two of them together, Ryan and Emma, they've been in, like, 3 movies together, I think. Maybe 4. No, I think just 3. Crazy Stupid Love, La La Land, and, like, Gangster Squad, which I have seen because I'm obviously trying to see all of his movies. Anyway, yeah, I think that people not hate on it, but people look down on it because it's a musical. But, I mean, it was nominated for Best Picture and lost. But Emma still won? Ryan won. Someone won. Anyway. I think that people look down on it because it's a musical, and also because people don't like the ending. But I think the ending is part of what makes it so special, like I said. And I think that, like, seeing, I don't know, like, we want to feel happy for them in the end because they've obviously, like, achieved, like, seeing seeing Seb's sign, like for the restaurant Seb's, that he's called it Seb's and not chicken on a stick because she told him to, but they're not together, is like, oh my God, because he would have cried because she notices it too, obviously. She like hears it, she's like, oh, she has an appreciation of jazz now because of him. All these years later, she hears jazz, she's like, oh, let's go here. And her husband's like, okay. And they go and they sit down, or she walks in, she sees the sign. Like, the waterworks. Like, I think I'm crying from the, like, as soon as they, like, part ways till the end. But that specific part when she sees the sign, or like, it's kind of like they're on the, they're on the street and then they hear the music and you're like, oh no, like, because you know what's about to happen. Like, you know that she's about to walk into his bar. Well, I think at first you know that he's going to be playing. I don't know if you necessarily know that it's going to be his bar, but you hope so because she's successful in what she wanted to do. So you're hoping that he's also successful in what he wants to do. But anyway, she walks in and they lock eyes, and that silence that is between them, where they just like look at each other and then they like kind of like let a little smile out because they're like, I love you still, but like I'm happy for you. And then there's nothing like it. If there is another movie that has an ending like that, don't send it my way because I don't need any more like it because it's so sad, but it's so good. But I don't know. I think I could write, like, I always say this about movies that I like love, but I don't think that's actually true because I'm a terrible writer. But I think that I could write like 20-page essay. No, maybe a 5-page essay just about the ending alone. Sorry, my nose is like, ugh. Okay, but yeah. So let me look. I want to look at my Letterboxd and see if there's any other like honorable mentions I want to talk about. But yeah, those are my top 4, 5-ish. I need to have like a musicals episode with someone else because there are so many musicals I can talk about right now, but I won't because I don't want to do that to you guys right now. It's already just a long video. I'm trying to see if there's any other like movies that I like want to touch on. I guess I could talk. I guess I could talk about like 2 of the other ones that I know were in my top at one point. There's so many noises going on. There's 2 that I'll talk about briefly. Well, actually, only one really, because I'll talk about Call Me by Your Name for a second, but we already talked about that in the other episode. And I think I also did mention that it was in my top 4 for a while. But yeah, Call Me by Your Name was in my top 4. I still really like the movie a lot. I just think that I've had other movies that I like better in that time since I've like rewatched that even. But yeah, we already talked about that in another episode, so I won't touch on that. But another one that I feel like it's not surprising because I do really like Marvel, but Captain America, Winter Soldier was in my top 4 for a while, I think. I want to say The Night Skies dethroned it. Because it's not like I like shifted things down. I should just like shift things down, but I feel like they're in my top 4 is like less so like actually like a top 4 and more like number like 1, 2, 3, 4. Other than La La Land, obviously La La Land's number 1, but I think the other 3 are kind of just like interchangeable. But yeah, Captain America, Winter Soldier was in my top 4 for a while. I don't know if it's still my favorite Marvel movie because like I really like Endgame, obviously. And like, I'm trying to think, I literally can't even think of, like, I really like Thor Ragnarok as well, and like Iron Man, the original Iron Man. But I think that it and like Civil War and stuff. Okay, anyway. But I think that one is just my favorite because Captain America is my favorite. And I obviously love Sebastian Stan and Chris Evans and as well. And I think that I like I love the Marvel movies where it's not necessarily the whole ensemble, but there are multiple characters like from the franchise in a specific movie. Like it's a Captain America movie, but like Scarlett's in it as well, or Black Widow's in it as well. And I know like Bucky and Sam are like Captain America characters, but like I like that they're also equally as important. And like Sam Jackson or Nick Fury, why can't I think of their names? Yeah, I just really like it. I think that, like I said already, I think it's one of my favorite Marvel movies, and I feel like people look down on Marvel movies a lot. And granted that yes, the franchise is definitely changing. I still watch everything and I still appreciate everything. Like some of the recent stuff, like Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I don't really like the Guardians series that much. I've learned kind of as I've rewatched stuff. Or maybe it's just the second one that I really don't like because I really don't like Ego as a villain. Something about that movie makes me very uncomfortable. But the third one that just came out recently, that one was really good. It made me sob. I really liked the Marvels, which is a hot take because I didn't really like Captain Marvel or Brie Larson, but I liked her in this. And I like Miss Marvel. I think she's a little darling girl. But yeah, some of the recent stuff has been iffy, but I still enjoy watching it and I'm excited for what's to come. Yeah. So I feel like I don't know. I just think the fight scenes and some of the iconic scenes in Winter Soldier are also just incredible. Like the helicopter scene where he's like holding onto a helicopter, the elevator scene, that's in Winter Soldier, yeah. Yeah, I just think they're incredible. And every time Bucky and the Cap interact before like Bucky's like fully fixed, obviously, I'm like, please remember him, please. I just think it's so special. Their bond. And my roommate, or not my roommate, my best friend and I have matching keychains with like, don't do anything stupid until I get back. And the other one says, how can I? You're taking all the stupid with you. So it's really cute and precious. But yeah. So I think that's all I have to say for now because obviously I have to save some stuff for other episodes. But those are, I think, my favorite movies of all time. If I think of something that I didn't put in here, I'm gonna be very upset. But I think those are the ones that I really wanted to talk about. So thank you guys for watching, and I think that's all I have to say.